Hey guys, what's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you guys are watching or listening to this. Um, it's your boy Will, and I just wanted to do a quick reaction video right on top of the dome in regards to all the trade deadline trades that's been done today. And there was a lot that was going down to the wire, plus there was a couple more that was behind the scenes that we just didn't get to actually see in light. A lot of those do happen on a regular basis, probably because like there's probably one bit or one piece of the trade that no one couldn't get it a full 100% agreement on, so they didn't happen. So let me actually knock out two of those and get them out of the way. The first one was there was nothing for Kareem Hunt. We were talking about, or there was rumors that Kareem Hunt, well, he originally wanted to get traded in the first place, but he never ended up getting traded at all. It would have been actually interesting to see where Kareem Hunt would have gone to. There was multiple talks about him going to Philadelphia, but that didn't end up happening at all. And the same thing with Brandon Cooks. Was hearing that Brandon Cooks was going to get traded, but we didn't know where. But one of the places where it could have been, but again, the T's weren't crossed and the I's weren't dotted for Dallas, which I think would have been a really fun place for Brandon Cooks to actually go to. Would have been a definite big help for Dallas and Dak Prescott, with especially with I'm not going to say the injury prone wide receivers, but I'm going to say also mainly because of James Washington being out. And my phone is ringing in the middle of this. So that person's going to have to wait for another 10, 15 minutes. But just want to do a quick reaction to everything once again. And with all that, let's go ahead and get down to it. And once again, this is the most trades that we've seen on trade deadline Tuesday ever. So it was really fun to actually see who went where and things like that. And one of the first ones that came up was TJ Hawkinson going over to the Vikings. And the very first thought that I thought about was, okay, the injury for Irv Smith, who was a person I was really high on this year, it has to be pretty serious. And we ended up confirming that he was going to be out for at least 8 to 10 weeks. So in theory, could be back in time for playoffs, but that's a long, long time to have um, him pretty much on the sideline. So TJ Hawkinson was a player, is a player who does have and the person is texting me. Um, yeah. So I'll get to him. It's just my sister. Shout out to my sister. What's up? Um, yeah, he has like a lot. He had a lot of potential in his first couple of years in Detroit. But it looks like that now there's multiple other weapons that are around in Detroit, so they didn't really need him as much anymore. And of course, the Vikings need a tight end with Irv Smith being out for 2 months. So lo and behold, I can't even talk. TJ Hawkinson is in the building for Minnesota, which is a rare trade the within the division. And they got some weapons now. Like, I mean, Minnesota was a team that all three of us agreed that we're going to likely take the crown this year for that division. And to pretty much add TJ Hawkinson onto that, along with Jefferson, along with Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, with all those players, like, it looks pretty solid. So it's a good move for Hawkinson, and it's a good move for the Vikings. So I hope that he does pretty well when he gets there. The next one I wanted to talk about, this is kind of a two-parter because it's all relevant to Miami. So Bradley Chubb gets traded to Miami, and along with that Bradley Chubb deal, Chase Edmonds is traded from Miami going over to the Broncos. So this is part one of everything that's going on with Miami. So so for fantasy purposes, let's go ahead and talk about Miami, or excuse me, let's talk about Chase Edmonds going over to Denver. Of course, Javante Williams out for the rest of the year. Chase Edmonds who I was really high on as far as a zero RB pick in the 6th round. He ended up not working as well as we thought, and Raheem Mostert was just doing the most dirt in that backfield. And because of that, like it kind of makes more sense for them to say, okay, Chase, we don't need you anymore. So we're going to go ahead and get you out of here. Um, and the Broncos kind of somewhat need a running back with Javonte Williams done for the year. Melvin Gordon not being as trustworthy as they want him to be. So for those who have Chase Edmonds or who had Chase Edmonds, if he's on the waiver wire, let's be honest, likely he is on the waiver wire. That would be an interesting pickup to actually get. Um, as far as adding him in a stash. But what the second part of the deal that made everything interesting to me was, okay, so it's all Raheem Mostert's backfield right now, correct? No. In this case, Jeff Wilson from the 49ers ends up getting traded over to Miami. And the immediate reaction that I had was, damn it. That was my honest opinion. The honest opinion, and the reason for that was because I was actually going to look into trading for Raheem Mostert in multiple leagues, because right now Raheem Mostert and, well, any of the running backs for Miami, they have one of the better playoff season, or one of the better fantasy playoff schedules upcoming, and especially if it's a team where, if you're at a team where you're at like 5-2, 6-1, 8-0 in that range, and you're already prepping for the playoffs. A player like Raheem Mostert would have been one of the perfect moves if the backfield was going to be all to himself. But now Jeff Wilson is in the fold, and we know how hard of a runner Jeff Wilson can be. So what I'm wondering to myself, is Jeff Wilson going to try to be what Chase Edmonds wanted, or what they wanted Chase Edmonds to be out in Miami? So it's a case of time can only tell, but we'll just generally see how everything goes with that. And good pickup for both Denver and Miami for that one. And like, Miami is just doing the most. They want the championship this year. They want to compete this year. And I actually like all the moves that they're making this year. Pretty sure everyone's seen at least one or two memes in regards to saying, they did their 3 draft picks that they got from Trey Lance, and they used it to get Waddle, they used it to get Tyreek, and they used it to get Bradley Chubb. So credit to Miami for that. Next one is the really weird one, or confusing one. Calvin Ridley, the better, is going from Atlanta and going to the Jaguars. And the interesting part about this is, it's a fun trade. It's an interesting trade because, like, you have to think about who else is there wide receiver wise. Marvin Jones, I believe, is still over there, and he's kind of dust right now. Christian Kirk, who's been a phenomenal player this year. He was a good value pick for wide receivers, probably one of the most perfect flex players out there. And they're still getting a talented player out of Calvin Ridley, if he still is going to play. So Trevor Lawrence is getting all the players that he wants around him, along with Travis Etienne. Like, the Jaguars are looking young, but they're also looking pretty interesting. So I'm curious to see how they mesh next year, and I'm hoping that he does well over there. So shout out to Calvin Ridley. Chase Claypool to the Bears. That one was kind of, my immediate thought was, the Bears do need a wideout. They do need a wide receiver. At least, honestly, they needed at least 2, but they ended up getting 1 in Chase Claypool. And Chase Claypool is okay, but he's somewhat a little bit similar to what Darnell Mooney is. He's a person that can, he's more of a person. He's not exactly the best slot player, but like, I feel that Claypool can do some damage, but not in the way that the Bears actually need it. Cole Kmet is not really doing as well as I thought he would be. And Darnell Mooney, he's not exactly the best wide receiver one, but Chase Claypool, I feel, isn't the answer, but he's still a decent player. So curious to see how they actually utilize him this year or for the remainder of the year. And one more, which is probably one of the biggest ones. I was looking forward to seeing where Nyheim Hines was going to go. I heard rumblings last week that he was going to get traded. And once again, Nyheim Hines is a player that is likely going to be on your radar as far as the waiver wire. And he may be a person that you want to pick up with him going to the high octane offense of the Buffalo Bills. And part of that deal is Zach Moss is going to Indianapolis. Now, there's two ways to look at it. The first way to look at it is Nyheim Hines. Is he ready to be a main guy? Devin Singletary has been doing okay in that role as far as the main running back, but he does have issues here and there. But is Nyheim Hines going to be the answer? Is he going to continue to have the same role that he does that he did back in Indy? So it's one of those that makes you think. And as well, Zach Moss going to Indianapolis, it's one of those things that makes you think generally as far as how solidified is the role for Jonathan Taylor right now. I'm not saying that Zach Moss is going to take over. That's the complete opposite of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, it kind of seems like that they have a lot of trust in Jonathan Taylor to the point where now they can pretty much give him the reins as they originally had him anyway, as a full 3-down back. Of course, he's been injured for a game or two this year, and he hasn't been getting everything that he wanted so far stat wise. So I'm really curious to see if they use Zach Moss at all, and then from there, does Jonathan Taylor become the workhorse that everyone wanted him to be this year? One trade that I did want to talk about that it wasn't part of the trade deadline trades this year, but it happened last week. Kadarius Toney going to the Chiefs. From what I read, it looks like that Toney is actually healthy right now, and how I reacted to the Tyreek Hill trade in regards to Juju Smith-Schuster being a part of that reaction. And I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Juju is not a number one wide receiver. He's been getting good looks within the past 2-3 games, but I still feel and I still believe that he's not the answer. I'm not saying that Kadarius Toney is, but what I am saying is we've seen the flashes in New York as far as what Toney can do whenever he is on the field. So he has the availability to be somewhat fantasy relevant. I personally ended up picking him up in multiple leagues as a just in case, but I'm not sure where it's going to go. I do feel that he can have some kind of importance, some kind of relevancy once again, because let's just face it, he's in a high octane offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's just see how they actually end up using him. And I hope that he actually does well overall. So that's pretty much it as far as my immediate reactions. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in length and a little bit more when we have some information and stats pulled up. And we're just going to see, we're just going to give our general opinions as far as who do we feel won the trades and who didn't, pretty much, or who should have traded. So that's going to be it for now. This is your boy Will. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon, whatever regard you're watching this. And you guys take care, and I'll see you on the show later.